Shabbat Shalom, my Hebrews and Shebrews. This is Oilfield Disciple. Happy Independence Day as well. Some will say we're not supposed to celebrate Independence Day, but you know what? I signed an oath for this, and I signed an oath to the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And right now we are under tyranny actual. Here in my state, New Mexico, our governor has commanded that we stay at home. We do not gather together, and that we watch a patriotic movie. Yeah, well, Miss Lujan Grisham, I say we will not comply. Now, with that said, 1776, 3% of the population in the colonies rose up and said, we will not comply. The other 97 percentile stayed at home, watched a patriotic movie. No, there wasn't no TV back then. But for whether it was out of fear, um, they were complacent and they were content with whatever the British rule put down on them, the King of England put down upon them. They were content with that. Whatever the case may be, 97 percentile of the American colonists didn't want no part of the war and didn't have no part of the war, really, until it came to their backyard, their front door. Um, and they had no choice but to do something. Even then, a lot of them just housed the British soldiers and whatnot. And so today I see the same thing, and I would dare to say that 3% would be actually pushing it. 3% of our population today would be pushing that number if there's 3% who are willing to say I will not comply. But anyway, we are going to do hanging with the prophets today. This is Shabbat, so I read one of the prophets. Be three quick chapters in Zephaniah or Zephaniah. We'll be reading out of the Scriptures Bible. If you are new, welcome to the channel. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel if you like the content. If you don't, move on. Whatever. But anyway, in any case, let's read Zephaniah. And I just got through changing out our flag on our flagpole because the wind had tethered and tore the old one pretty bad. And I've been wanting to change it out for about a week now. But I wanted to wait for this day. And when I changed it out, the wind was blowing something silly and was making it hard on me to get it all clipped up there. But now she's just laying there um, all solemn and slumber. You can look across the street. Let's see here. Where's it at? There we go. There's one that's blowing a little bit. But either way, a lot of debate on whether we should give alms to this country. And I don't really say I give alms to this country, but this country and what she stands for allows me to do what I'm doing right now. It allows me to read the Bible and the Scriptures. But even that is becoming more and more difficult because even our governor has said that we are not together in our churches um, as a group. I've seen, and I don't know if it's true yet or not, but I've seen in California where the governor has said that you're not to sing in churches during the COVID-19 epidemic due to spreading the virus because the loud, you protruding your voice, it causes spittle to come out, and so she's banned singing and praising God. Whatever. You know what? I'm going to do what I feel led to do by the Holy Spirit. Looks like my old flag's hung up there. I'll fix it after we get done with this video. Anyway, let's read Zephaniah. Chapter 1, verse 1 says, the word of Yahweh which came to Zephaniah, son of Cushai, son of Gedaliah, son of Amari, son of Hezekiah, in the days of Yoshiahu, son of Ammon, son of Yehuda. I shall snatch away all from the face of the earth, declares Yahweh. I snatch away man and beast. I snatch away the birds of the heaven and the fish of the sea and the stumbling blocks with the wrong, when I shall cut off man from the face of the earth, declares Yahweh. Now, does that sound like he's going to rapture. Never mind. Let's not get into that. Verse 4, and I shall stretch out my hand against Yehuda, against all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and cut off every trace of Baal from this place. The names of the idolatrous priests with the priests, and those bowing down to the host of the heavens on the housetops, and those bowing themselves, swearing by Yahweh and swearing by Malcolm. And those who turn away from following Yahweh, and who have not sought Yahweh or inquired of him. Sounds to me like he's going to pick up the tares and the wheat at the same time. Then he'll separate the wheat and the tares. Verse 7, hush in the presence of the Master Yahweh, for the day of Yahweh is near. For Yahweh has prepared a slaughter. He has set apart his invited ones. It shall be in the day of the slaughter of Yahweh that I shall punish the rulers of the sons of the sovereigns, and all such as are clad in foreign garments. I shall punish on that day all who leap over the threshold, who fill their masters' houses with violence and deceit. And on that day there shall be, declares Yahweh, the sound of a cry from the fish gate, and of the howling from the second quarter, and of the great crashing from the hills. Howl, you inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people shall be silenced, and all those weighing out silver shall be cut off. When we see merchants, we just think of maybe those who deal on the sea, have seaports and whatnot. Merchants are those who are leaders in their community, who are wealthy and well off, and they pretty much, he who has the gold makes the rules, sort of thing. When we see merchants, that's what we need to look at and think of. So, verse 12. And at that time it shall be that I search Jerusalem with lamps, and punish the men who are settled on their dregs, who say in their heart, Yahweh does no good, nor does he evil. Yahweh's just over there doing what he does, and we do what we do, and everything's going to be hunky-dory, sing kumbaya at the end of the world. Going to be reunited with Grandma and Grandpa and Uncle Bob, and we're going to drink beers with Jesus, and yada, yada, yada. That's their idea of Yahweh, and that's today's sentiment in most churches. There she goes. Now she's flying. Okay. And their wells shall become plunder, and their houses laid waste, and they shall build houses, but no, not inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards, but not drink their wine. Near is the great day of Yahweh, near and hurryingly greatly, the noise of the day of Yahweh. Let the mighty men then bitterly cry out. All right, there's going to be a time period where life is going to be hell on earth here. Verse 15, that day is a day of wrath, a day of distress and trouble, a day of waste and ruin, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. When all this COVID-19 first started, and it started getting serious, and the president started giving his daily briefings, and he contacted all the governors of each state. For about a week here, it was very gloomy. It was cloudy, it was foggy as hell in the mornings, couldn't hardly see past your hood. And this went on for about 10 days here where I live. And I just seen a sense of gloominess, a sense of dark clouds. Now, I'm not saying this is the end times. Don't hear me wrong. What I'm saying is there is that feeling, that spirit in the air that we will feel come this time. And I believe that what I sensed and what I felt the first few days of this COVID-19, uh, just the gloominess, was that same spirit working. You're crazy, Pastor Matt. Yeah, a little bit. You'll get used to it. Hang with me. Verse 16, a day of a shofar and sounding against the walled cities and against the corner towers, and I shall bring distress on men, and they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against Yahweh, and their blood shall be poured out like dust, and their flesh like dung. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of Yahweh. You're not going to buy your way out of this. Remember, which one was that in Acts? He was Simon the sorcerer or something like that. He seen what Peter and James and John were doing and healing people and everything. And he remembered he asked Peter if he could buy the Holy Spirit and that power. And Peter told him what this is you can't buy with gold and silver. So we're not going to be able to buy our way out of the day of wrath. Verse 18, neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of Yahweh, and by the fire of his jealousy all the earth shall be consumed, for he makes a sudden end of all those who dwell on the earth. Hold on, y'all. What's up?
Can I have money from Mom's earlier?
Mom's got cash?
Okay.
Yeah. I don't have any cash on me.
I'm going to go buy a kiddie pool.
There's a kiddie pool in the backyard.
Not one for the dogs, one for us.
Okay, have fun.
As I was looking at it, I was like, hey.
Okay. Sorry, y'all. I had to talk to my daughter a minute. We were getting everything together. We're going to barbecue. We've invited all the congregation, the assembly, and their families to come over. We're going to eat. We're going to praise the Lord. And we're going to enjoy this day, regardless of what orders our governor has put down upon us. Chapter 2, sorry. Gather together. Gather together, O nation, without shame. We're going to gather together without shame today. We are going to gather together as like-minded believers in Yahweh. This is about Yahweh first and foremost. And then we're going to gather together in remembrance of this nation that has given us our freedoms and our liberties and our civil rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, endowed by our Creator with these certain inalienable rights. Feel me? All right. Verse 2, before the law gives birth, the day shall pass on like chaff. Now, chaff is whenever you go and cut the grain or cut the wheat, it's the little holes, the stuff, it's real light. And so whenever you're separating the grain from the chaff, you throw it up in the air and the chaff is blown away by the wind. Before the burning wrath of Yahweh comes upon you, before the day of wrath of Yahweh comes upon you. The day of wrath is coming, whether we're prepared or not for it, whether we like it or we don't like it, whether we believe in it or we don't believe in it. It's coming. Seek Yahweh, all you meek ones of the earth, who have done his right ruling. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. If so, be that you are hidden in the day of wrath of Yahweh. I have full faith that the Lord will lead, guide, and protect me and my family if the tribulation period does come. Does that mean that I won't die in the flesh? Absolutely not. I could be killed the very first day of it. But I'll be brought before the great and powerful Lord. And I will be protected, and I will be hidden, all my sins, by the blood of Yeshua. Feel me? All right, I hope so. If you don't, hit me up in the comments. Verse 4, for Asa has abandoned Ashkelon, laid waste. For Asa has abandoned, and Ashkelon laid waste. Ashdod is driven out at noonday, and Ekron is uprooted. Woe to the inhabitants of the seacoast, the nation of the Kerethites. The word of Yahweh is against you, O Canaan, land of the Philistines, and I shall destroy you, so that there is no inhabitant. Utterly lay waste. Put the ban to. And the seacoast shall be pastures, shepherds, meadows, and enclosures for flocks. And the coast shall be for the remnant of the house of Yehudah. They shall feed their flocks on it, and at evening they lie down in the houses of Ashkelon. For Yahweh their Elohim shall visit them and turn back their captivity. Sounds similar to a second Exodus to me. And the coast shall be for the remnant. Remember that. Verse 8. And I have heard the reproach of Moab and the revilings of the children of Ammon, with which they have reproached my people and exalted themselves against their borders. Therefore, as I live, declares Yahweh of hosts of Elohim of Israel, Moab shall be like Sodom, and the children of Ammon like Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah. A possession for weeds and a pit of salt, and a waste forever. The remnant of my people plundered them, and the rest of my nation possessed them. Now remember, we're reading in Exodus in our daily bread. What did the Israelites do to the Egyptians when they left? They plundered their houses. They took their silver, their gold, their livestock, everything that basically wasn't tied down. This sounds very similar to a second Exodus to me. This is what they get for their pride, because they have reproached and exalted themselves against the people of Yahweh of hosts. Yahweh shall be awesome for them, for he shall make all the mighty ones of the earth to shrivel, while all the coastlands of the nations bow down to him, each one from his place. You too, O Cushites, are to be slain by my sword. And he shall stretch out his hand against the north and destroy Asher, and make Nineveh a waste, as dry as the wilderness. And droves shall lie down in her midst, every beast of the nation, both pelican and bittern lodge in the tops of her columns. A voice singing at the window, ruin be at the threshold, for the cedar work is exposed. This is the exultant city that is dwelling in safety, that said in her heart, I am it, and there is none but me. How has she become a waste, a place for beasts to lie down? Everyone who passes by her whistles and shakes her fist. I see New York City, Chicago, LA, San Diego, Seattle, all the big cities fit this description. Now, this is my understanding, my viewpoint in this point in history. This may not be. America may be done long gone by the time this comes. There may be a greater city than New York. But from my eyes, from my viewpoint, this is what I see. Chapter 3. Woe to her who is rebellious and defiled the oppressing city. Who's rebellious? Is New York not rebellious? Are the people of the church today not rebellious? We don't have to do that no more. We don't have to keep Sabbath. We can eat pork chops and bacon and shrimp and all that. We don't have to do that no more. Is that rebellion? Remember, obedience is better than sacrifice. Verse 2. She did not obey the voice. She did not accept instruction. And she did not trust in Yahweh. She did not draw near to Elohim. She is the church, the false church, the whore of Babylon. Her rulers in her midst are roaring lions. Her judges are evening wolves. They shall leave no bone until morning. Wicked, deceiving pastors. Joel Osteen, Jesse Duplantis, Creflo Dollar, Joyce Meyer. These are these wolves that people like to follow, because they have tickling ears. They tickle your ears. They have soft sounding words. They have all the elegant sayings to say to get you to put money in their offering plate. Her prophets are reckless, treacherous men. Her priests have profaned the set apart place. They have done violence to the Torah. They've done violence to the Torah. Jesus came so we don't have to do that no more. We don't have to keep any of the law no more. Okay, you get pissed off when they tear down the Ten Commandments at the courthouse, but you only follow about maybe 5 or 6 of them. The other ones you say have been done away with. Why do you get pissed off about it? Yahweh is righteous in her midst. He does no unrighteousness. Morning by morning he brings his right ruling to light. It has not been lacking, yet the unrighteous one knows no shame. I have cut off nations. Their corner towers are in ruins. I have made their streets deserted, with no one passing by. Their cities are destroyed without man, without inhabitant. God is telling us here through Zephaniah that this trial and tribulation period, the great tribulation period, is going to be Yahweh laying waste to the unrighteous, to the disobedient, to the mockers of him. I have cut off nations, their corner towers in ruins. I have made their streets deserted with no one passing by. Their cities are destroyed without man, without inhabitant. I have said, only fear me, accept instruction, and her dwelling would not be cut off. All that I have appointed for her, but they rose up early and they corrupted all their deeds. Only fear Yahweh. What's Jesus say? Fear not man who can kill the body, but fear the Lord who can kill the body and the soul. Therefore wait for me, declares Yahweh, until the day I rise up for plunder, for my judgment is to gather nations, to assemble reigns, to pour out on them my rage, all my burning wrath. For by fire of my jealousy all the earth shall be consumed. For then I shall turn into the peoples a clean lip, so that they all call on my name, on the name of Yahweh, to serve him with one shoulder. From beyond the rivers of Cush, my worshippers, the danger of my dispersed ones, shall bring my offering. Worshipping is a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice to the Lord. You're sacrificing yourself and you're sacrificing your life to do what Yahweh has said. For then I shall turn unto the peoples a clean lip, so that they call on the name of Yahweh to serve him with one shoulder. From beyond the rivers of Cush, my worshippers, the daughter of my dispersed ones, shall bring my offering. What is the offering he's talking about here? He's talking about your life. That you would give up your life to follow him and whatever he says do. Verse 11, and that day you shall not be put to shame for any of your deeds in which you have transgressed against me. For then I shall remove from your midst your proud exulting ones, and you shall no more be haughty in my set apart mountain. But I shall leave in your midst an oppressed and poor people. All right, got that wasp out of here. Sorry, I had a wasp bugging me. But I shall leave in your midst an oppressed and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of Yahweh. Now remember, poor is not the beggar on the street, but the children of Yahweh. The remnant of Israel shall do no unrighteousness and speak no falsehood, nor is a tongue of deceit found in their mouth. For they shall feed their flocks and lie down with none to frighten them. That's us today who follow Torah. That is us today who are speaking truth and being made fun of, being discredited. Shout for joy, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O you Israel. Be glad and rejoice with all your heart, O daughter of Jerusalem. Yahweh has turned aside your judgment. He has faced your enemy. The sovereign of Israel, Yahweh, is in your midst. No longer need you fear evil. And that day it shall be said to Jerusalem, do not fear. Zion, do not let your hands be weak. Do not fear, men. Do not fear, brothers and sisters. For the Lord has a plan, and the Lord's plan is going forth just like he set it out to be before he created Adam in the garden. It is not out of control for Yahweh. We shall not fear. We shall not grow weak and weary. Yahweh, your Elohim, in your midst is mighty to save. He rejoices over you with joy. He is silent in his love. He rejoices over you with singing. I shall gather those who grieve about the appointed time, who are among you, to whom his reproach is a burden. See, I am dealing with all those afflicting you at that time, and I shall save the lame, and gather those who were cast out, and I shall give them for a praise and for a name in all the earth, where they were put to shame. At that time I shall bring you in. Even at that time I gather you, for I shall give you a name, and for a praise among all the peoples of the earth, when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, saith Yahweh. The day of tribulation will not be, well, I'm not sure if this is it or not. We will definitely know. Our captivity will be turned back before our very eyes. There will be no wandering or thinking. This will be so distinct that it will line up with every scripture that we've ever read. And hopefully we've read them all. If we haven't, get to working on it. This will not be a wonder if this is going to happen this way or not, or blah, blah, blah. This is going to be very distinct. However it works out. Now we can assume, we can ponder in our minds this and that. Like I said earlier, from my perspective, this great city that he's talking about destroying utterly seems to me like New York. But that's just from my perspective. When this happens, it will not be a wonder. It will not be, well, I'm not sure. Maybe it is, maybe it ain't. It'll be no doubt. This is the Lord. Y'all be blessed, be encouraged, and always be frustrated. This is Oilfield Disciple. Have a Shabbat Shalom. Have a Shabbat Shalom. I don't think that made no sense. Blessed Shabbat Shalom, y'all. Get outside with your family and cook up some cow. Cook up some chicken. Don't cook no pork, though. Let this day be a day of remembrance for all those who stood and said, I will. Whether it be, I will defend this nation, or those who stood and said, I will, Yahweh. I will do what you called me to do, and I will walk in your truth. Let this be that day that brings you back to Yahweh if you've fallen away. If you've been set apart and holy, praise be the Lord. Y'all be blessed. We'll catch you on the next ride.